Hey guys, it's David. Welcome back to the Scion TC2 Ultimate Daily Driver Series, where we are working on making this car the best daily driver that we can while installing some upgrades along the way. You would have seen the suspension upgrades that we did, but now it's time to make sure that this car stops properly and add a few other goodies along the way. So without further ado, let's dive into this episode. Now this first item isn't an upgrade, but while we're back here, we might as well do it. The car's sitting about 150,000 miles, so might as well replace these wheel bearings while we're in here. For brake rotors, you'll see that I'm going with PowerStop Evolution coated rotors. I believe this is what's called a geomet coating. I've seen it on some other rotors before, but it's a really nice finish, and the nice thing is it doesn't rust, so the center mounting area is not going to be all rusty and it's going to look good for quite a while. Should be some good rotors as well too, paired alongside these EBC red pads that I have. More advertising. EBC always makes some really quality stuff. Fit and finish, their stuff's amazing. They always stop really well. Interestingly enough, they have adhesive backing for the anti-squeal pads on the back, so let's put those on. So there is a tool that actually lines up with these grooves, and it grabs onto those raised portions and turns it back into the caliper. Instead of using like a clamp, it's like a screw type. So I don't have that tool. I had it at one point. I just ordered another one. I'm gonna go pick that up and then we'll finish this up. Okay guys, this entire side is done here. Brakes, suspension. I went through and did a nut and bolt check on everything. Put that cotter pin back in on that tow arm. Ooh, coffee coming back up. So, should be good to go. I took quite a while due to some hang-ups and trying to figure some things out, but it's done. Well, that's going to wrap up the rear brakes. Let's go ahead and move to the front and knock those out. this up so it'll be ready to throw on. It's a very nice kit. Of course, you got left and right sides with brackets, all nice and zinc coated. Now with that, let's go ahead and continue disconnecting this lineup here. God bless you if you're in Canada or the Rust Belt. You're gonna need it. This is so stupid. There we go. Remember, when doing this, you're gonna need 2 copper crush washers. One that goes before the brake line fitting, and then the other that goes on the other side of it. You run that into your caliper. Just want to stop all this leaking for the moment. Got everything bolted back up to that hard line and to the caliper. So what we need to do now is go ahead and throw on the rotor, and then we'll bolt everything back up to the suspension and bolt the caliper back. This is the same PowerStop Evolution geomet coated rotor that we use in the back. Obviously they're going to be bigger for the front set. These front ones are heavy. It's a really nice piece of hardware though. So if you're wondering why I did stainless lines in the front and not the rear, that's a great question. It turns out there's not actually an off-the-shelf option for stainless lines for this generation Scion TC. I've contemplated, and at some point in the future, I'll probably have a shop custom make some, as it's really not that difficult and the rear lines are pretty simple. But for the moment, we're just going to stick to the fronts. Okay guys, so one thing that I found out that I wish had been mentioned in instructions or something was that these brake lines are indeed specific to left and right. There's a bracket here that is angled accordingly depending on what side you're on, so you just need to find out which side makes sense to have the bracket hold the line away from that upright itself, and then that is the correct one for that side. So with this one done, let's go ahead and move to the other side. While this is an option that I went with, I want to talk to you guys about another option that someone in my Discord by the name of Mohammed recently discovered on these cars. Let's talk about this option that he worked out, since I think it's really cool, and I might look at doing this in the future. Cool. Well, yeah, tell me about your brake setup, because this is something that I personally, of course, have never seen, but I don't think anyone else has done, to my knowledge, and so you've kind of pioneered this one a little bit, right?
This is the first ever Scion TC with GR Corolla brake calipers, and to be honest with you, it was purely accidental. It was never meant to be that way.
I didn't realize that.
So here's what happened. I was on the highway, cruising at like 60 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour. It's a little bit on the traffic side. It was a little bit of a heavy traffic. It was raining. The lady in front of me is just very clueless on the road. Floored the brakes and just went into complete stop. My car didn't stop in time. Just took its very sweet time to just crash into the car in front of me. I think I hit her like 5 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour max. It's like I'm literally watching the car crash and there's nothing you can do about it. So after that, I was like, those brakes are really not that good for a car that is 3,300, 3,400 pounds, those are really tiny brakes.
It's a pretty
And
hefty car. You've got the custom brackets from, who is it from?
355.
355, okay. And then you have the stock lines you're running. They're not even stainless lines, correct? Or did you go stainless?
No. So, we have not gotten the stainless steel brake lines. My friend Eric, he went to a scrap TC, picked up all the brake lines, and sent them to these guys. They've had them for like 8 weeks now. We still haven't gotten the brake lines back yet. But once that is done, and he tests the brake lines with the calipers because he's going to install them as well, we will confirm with them that they fit our cars with no issues whatsoever, and they will be listed on their website.
So we've got the custom bracket from 355, then we have brake lines in the works. You can use stock lines, and you're running EBC rotors that are 140 mil. Is that correct?
100. No, they were. The 140 mil is the distance between the two bolts that hold the bracket.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
The rotors are 14 inches or 356 millimeters. They're pretty big.
356 mil. Okay, perfect. And then which pads are you running?
OEM pads, but you don't run the shims. Basically, the thickness of the OEM rotors are 28 millimeters, and the ones that I have for EBC are not for the GR Corolla, but rather for Lexus. I think it was GS 350. I'll have to double check. Okay, so basically it's a Lexus GS 350. It has to be F Sport and rear wheel drive because these are the only ones that are 14 inches. All the other trims are 13.1 inches, so they have to be this specific size. Not a lot of people make them. I try to get them from Bosch. They don't make them. So you'll have to be on the lookout for those. The reason why I didn't go with the GR Corolla rotors is that the single rotor costs as much as both calipers, pads, pins, and shims. And shims too. So a single rotor. That was out of the question. That would have thrown the price out the window. The reason why I went with those and no shims is because they are 2 millimeters thicker than the GR Corolla ones. For anybody that's going to be doing this build, you have nothing to worry about. Just either cut the dust shield off or bend it backwards, up to you, whatever works for you. It's a very easy to install build. If you even check my guide on it, it's mostly where to get the parts, how to get the parts, why I picked the parts, because that's mostly it. Once you get over this, all you need to do is just easily install them. Take the calipers out, disconnect the brake lines, put the new calipers in. There's nothing else you need to do.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, man. We really appreciate your time here, and look forward to seeing more from your car.
Yeah, not a problem.
Huge thanks to Mohammed for getting with us and telling us about that brake conversion. I think it's wildly cool that a GR Corolla performance caliper up front fits on these cars. That is the beauty of the Toyota life, and interchangeable parts, of course, requires that custom bracket, but super cool that we have that option. With that done, let's move on to another item. So we are using Summit's .4 racing fluid. This fluid is good to 572 degrees, which is quite high. Actually, that's about as high as the Willwood fluid from what I recall, and some of the others, and it's quite a bit cheaper. As you'll see, I'm trying to use the Motive power bleeder here, and I bought a generic cap that I thought might work, but I couldn't get it to work with the cap on the Scion TC. So what I ended up doing was recruiting a friend and using them to help me do it the traditional way. With one more thing completed, let's move on to the next item, alignment. Okay guys, I just got the car back this afternoon and it is actually due for an alignment appointment tomorrow over at Texas Trackworks. You would have seen me mention them in my 350Z grid life video for this year, as that's who did my alignment on that car, and they do a phenomenal job. I've used them several times throughout the years for my cars, and since this is so low and something that we kind of want to use, you know, maybe for light track duty, we want to take it over to them. It is a bit far away though. It's over in Fort Worth. I live on the Dallas side of the Metroplex, so it's about 45 minutes. So what I need to do though is I need to drop that ride height down, and then I also need to adjust the camber of that and just kind of get it fairly straight so I can drive it all the way out there and drop it off with those guys. And then I want to make sure that the bumper is going to stay firmly attached. You'll have seen, like in the starter for this series, that the bumper was coming off due to letting someone borrow the car and then kind of ripping the bumper out of the little holds that I had for it. So anyways, we're going to try to knock that out tonight and be set to go in the morning. So I've got this camber gauge here, and you want to kind of zero this out before using it really. I'm not going to get that in depth with it. I'm just kind of going to, you know, get it more or less to what I want, just to drive it over to the alignment shop since they're going to do it anyways. So don't worry too much about the specifics of using this thing. I'm not using it super precisely, so basically don't roast me in the comments. Also going to be dropping the car down a tad. As you can see, it's pretty tall right now. With the alignment, ride height, and bumper settled, and just as it started to rain, I finished the car and was ready to take it to the alignment shop in the morning. Alright chaps, we are in the TC. Got this thing loaded down with 5 tires, which is always impressive to me. These are 18s and 255 40s. So pretty cool that we can fit those in there and still have room to actually throw stuff in the back. But anyways, we're headed over to Texas Trackworks to drop this thing off with the alignment. So to make that drive, the home adjustment that we did to you know, the camber and everything, and the fact that I tried to leave everything close to stock has really worked well, because this is tracking pretty straight and driving nicely. It's just time to get it officially aligned and set up kind of for a little bit more performance driving, so we can have some fun with this thing. Guys, we are here with the TC again. So I'm going to do something that the guys at Texas Trackworks mentioned when they lowered the car and got everything set up. They were like, you know what, this thing would look really great with just a little bit more fitment work. We're going to throw some spacers on this thing and get the fitment just a little bit more dialed. The front only needs to come out just a very small amount, so I got some 5mm spacers for that, and then the rear can come out a little bit more, so I've got some 12mm slash, you know, half-inch spacers. So we're going to throw those on and see how they look. So something that crossed my mind, but for some reason I didn't think would be an issue, are the lug studs here. And with these 1/2-inch spacers at least, can't even get one thread on there. What was I thinking? Yeah, I'm gonna need some extended lug studs there, so cool. But the good news is the spacing does look pretty good, and viewing it from above, looks like there is enough camber that'll still pull into the wheel well, not the fender, and it doesn't poke either, so I think that fitment's gonna be right. We just need longer lug studs. Let's see how the 10 mils look though. Yeah, I still think even with those 12 mil, I think we're gonna be fine. So these are the 5 mil, and that extra 7 mil I think should still tug perfectly. With new fresh parts for maintenance and all new suspension and braking components and a good alignment, I think it's time that we test this car somewhere where we can really push it. Stay tuned for the next video in which we'll do just that. I want to thank you all for watching this video. Before you leave, there's something that I want to show you that will help both the channel and probably yourself. Alright guys, I am here with the Tundra and I'm actually filming a video, taking that to the engine recycler, or to the metal recycler, and needed the truck only to discover, oh, I haven't driven it in a week and a half. Great. Awesome. Well, guess what? It's also in between a bunch of cars and I can't move it. I can't get anything up here to jump start it. And that's where ANDEMAN comes in clutch today with their portable jump starter. Now, not only is this a portable jump starter, it also has a functional readout of the voltage on this LCD screen here, which is really nice. We're going to compare that to using a multimeter here. Not only does it do those as well too though, but it is actually a tire inflator and a battery bank, which is amazing. I mean, this thing is like $70 new, and I'll put the price up on screen for the viewers, but this is a bargain for what you're getting here. Of course, it's got a flashlight too. Everything is a flashlight these days, and battery bank as mentioned, so you can charge your devices as well too. So let's go ahead and use this as a jump starter right now, and then we'll show you some of the other stuff. Unfortunately, I have so many vehicles and I can only drive them so often, and I don't need the truck a lot. So let's test this out here. So we are currently sitting at 11.5 volts. Not enough to crank. All right, now let's take the ANDEMAN. Got it. It's got a nice charge readout here as well too. We're sitting at 100%. So let's take these. If you don't know how to do this, maybe don't even drive a car. All right, so we can see, whoop, I did not put that on there securely. Thought I died. So we can see 11.6 volts. So right about, you know, what the good multimeter was saying here. So now let's plug this in. It's got a nice waterproof port. Just pop that open, plug this in. Other way. And now we should be able to go and turn this thing over. It's a big motor too. This is a 5.7 liter V8. Wow, like nothing. That's awesome. I've had another battery jumper brand and it does not work as well as that. Still, it only took 1%. That's amazing. This is super cool. Let's go test the tire inflator. Switch modes here. So we are at 36 PSI. I want to bring that up to 40. And we're just going to set that to go. All right, so this thing just finished and now we are sitting at our desired 40 PSI. That only took about a minute and a half or so. So pretty good because these are big tires. As I mentioned, it's also a battery bank and it comes with its own cable too, which is nice. And I love the fact that it's USB-C. That's amazing because everything else is USB-C. Unless you've been on an iPhone. But even now they changed over. Let's plug that into output. Plug this in. Turn this on. There we go. Now it's charging. Awesome. It's so cool. To the input. And then throw that on the charger as well. And now we're charging. This thing is so versatile and so helpful. I'm really glad to have a tool like this on stack. I hope you all know that this is something that I find incredibly handy, and I wouldn't just pitch to you guys if it wasn't something that I actually believed in and used myself. I recently went on a road trip and towed my Z again with the trailer, and it filled up almost all 4 tires on that trailer without dying. And those are some massive tires with a high pressure cap of 80. So again, thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to ANDEMAN for supporting the channel. Now a portion of those sales do come back to the channel, which is extremely helpful for us as we work on a pretty limited budget and we don't make a lot of money on this channel. So if you guys are interested, click on the link in the description and check out one for yourself. And until the next video, take care and keep wrenching on your stuff.